Welcome to this episode of the Section 17 podcast. I'm your host, Brian Kennedy, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Josh Cox, the big dog, Scott Medlin, and Jamie Holt. And this is becoming a trend. This is not what we want to do. Start another episode after a Duke loss in a game that many of us thought Duke could turn the corner, right the ship, and get the win over the Cavaliers and keep the ACC championship hopes alive. But unfortunately, that was not the case. We've got another packed episode. We've got a special guest tonight to talk about the upcoming opponent. It is Hate Week against Chapel Hill College, as we like to say. We've got another mailbag. We've got our predictions. We've got Did You Know? But before we get to all of that, you know the drill, folks. All these wonderful lights you see if you're watching on YouTube have to stay on. And Josh, why don't you go ahead and get us going with our first sponsor? What do you want to say, El Rodeo? Let's go El Rodeo. Let's do that.
Sure, we'll do El Rodeo. Hey, we're thankful for our friends at El Rodeo, North Duke Street in Durham. Man, I know I sound like a broken record. Like, I've been going there since I was like a kid, and they used to. Anyway, I have memories at this place. But listen, it's your typical Tex-Mex Mexican restaurant. Not trying no frills, nothing crazy. It's just good, solid Tex-Mex, guys. So like, hit it up. Y'all know I'm a fan of the queso. Shout out Quayshawn Brown. I'm a fan of the queso there, as is my daughter. And so hit it up, North Duke Street, El Rodeo. Let them know that let Andres and Mario, the guys there, know that you're there with the Section 17 podcast, and hit them up. And I'll stick with it, Brian. I'll stick with mine. Our friends over at Hometown Air.
Your HVAC system works hard all year. Shouldn't you have a team that works just as hard for it? Hometown Air's service contracts give you peace of mind, priority service, and preventative care to keep your system running efficiently for as long as possible. It's all about staying ahead of problems so your system lasts longer and your home stays comfortable. Keep it simple, stay comfortable, and enjoy the season without worry. Mention the Section 17 podcast for 10% off your next visit. Call 919-568-3212 or visit hometownairnc.com for your free quote today.
Our thanks to Hometown Air. If you were at the tailgate before the Virginia game, the sponsor, Hometown Air, was there. The whole family was there. We had Jamie, Laney, Jacob, right? Jacob, yep. Thank you. Gosh, you would think I would know that. Whoops, sorry, sponsors. We'll edit that out. And certainly, last but not least, we have to thank Realtor Matt Lunsford-Bliven. When it comes to buying, selling, investing, or building here in the Triangle and in Durham, Matt's always ready to help you move the chains. He'll quarterback the whole process from kickoff to the final whistle so you never fumble a deal. If you're looking for a real estate win, put your trust in Realtor Matt Lunsford-Bliven, helping you score big in the Durham market and beyond. For more information, you can reach out to Matt at MLB@chappellres.com. That's MLB at CHAPPELLRes.com. All right, I think that was it. Now, one thing we did not do last week, and we must apologize, is we did not hear from head coach Manny Diaz. I think we were all just a little shocked that Duke lost up in UConn, but we're not going to forget this week. Let's hear from head coach Manny Diaz after the frustrating loss post-game to Virginia.
Very disappointing night. We were thoroughly outclassed in every category by Virginia tonight. I think that's – I have to give them full credit. I think that's as well as they've played all year. I think their quarterback was outstanding and in terrific control throughout the course of the game. Coupled with is one of the poor performances of our season, certainly offensively through three quarters. You do have to give Virginia credit for that. I think that starts up front. We didn't play to the level it felt like that we normally do up front, from the first play of the game being a sack, just our inability to run the football, constantly being in long yardage situations early on. And then we were just off in our passing game. Just didn't look like us, didn't look like how we've looked throughout the years. So it's a combination of us not playing very well against a team that's playing really, really well. And so, like I said, you have to give full credit to Virginia. I am pleased at the heart and the fight that we showed in the fourth quarter. When it looked as bad as it did at 31-3, to come back and get a couple touchdowns there in the fourth, and that does show that there is a backbone to this team. There's a backbone to this program. And that's what it's going to take going forward, right? And that's all it's about now. It's about a fight for these last couple of weeks. Everybody's aware of how important this next week is in this program to this university. And with what I saw in the fourth quarter, I believe our guys will be up for the challenge. So with that, let's do questions.
And again, that was head coach Manny Diaz giving his initial thoughts after Duke, let's just call it, was taken out behind the woodshed, lost to the Cavaliers 34-17. I think I speak for everyone, maybe not. That was not the game any of us had expected. And if you had put money on the Blue Devils, if you trusted Vegas' judgment, shame on you. That won't happen again this week, I promise you. But let's knock it out really quick, guys. Again, we've got a special guest joining us to talk all things Chapel Hill College here shortly. Quick initial thoughts about the game. Again, the Devils have lost now 3 out of the last 4 out of the last 5. I can't even keep up anymore. I don't. 4 out of the last 5. That's brutal to say. Who wants to go first? I'm not going first because I don't even know what to say at this point. I don't.
I'll go first. I didn't get to go to the game because honestly, I'm glad I was sick. Like,
you were the lucky one.
Yeah, I was the lucky one. That game would have made it worse. Just watching on TV, it looked from the start that Duke just didn't even show up, that there was no interest at all from either side of the ball, really. And it was kind of shocking because the offense had been so good all year and UVA just completely shut them down. We were outcoached. I mean, that's a fact. Tony Elliott coached circles around Manny. That's a fact. 34-17, that score is very generous. It was a lot worse than that. It should have been a lot worse than that. Wasn't it like 31-3 at a point, I believe?
Yes, that's precisely when your boy Josh and your boy Scott and Brian, when the three of us, that's the first time in I don't know how many years, Jamie, you know this, first time that I've left the game early.
Probably the Louisville game the last year of Cutcliffe's tenure.
Yeah.
I think I texted and told y'all to just go ahead and start heading to the car. I was joking. I didn't think it was going to happen. And then Josh texted and said him and Scott were on the way to the parking lot. I was like, wow, I'm shocked at this. But yeah, that's all I got, really. I mean, I really don't know what else to say. I was kind of like, I think all of us, we were surprised by the effort or lack thereof effort at the game on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll go ahead, and I'm just going to quote Manny Diaz. We were thoroughly outclassed in every category by Virginia. And if I may, he's exactly right, and it absolutely starts at the head coaching spot. Listen, Bronco Mendenhall had David Cutcliffe's number, and Tony Elliott evidently has had Mike Elko's number, and now Manny Diaz's number. Like, I don't understand why this program can't seem to beat Virginia. I don't understand it. Like, it's mind-blowing. Kudos to Tony Elliott. Y'all know we've been a Tony Elliott hater podcast since he's been hired there, because he made a couple comments about Elko, and we were taking up for our boy. But look, he's put together a program for this season at least, and evidently it's the best freaking defense that Duke football's ever faced, because we could not run the football against them. We couldn't throw the football against them. Cooper Barkate, we would target him 0 times, and then we like force feed it on one drive 3 straight times to him, and nobody could get into a rhythm. Darian looked off. I mean, I don't know what else to say other than this team seemed to come into the most important game of their season unprepared. Like, thoroughly unprepared. Third down defense, atrocious. Third down and 14, the Charmin soft zone in the secondary, 21 yards. And I'm talking about the guy had nobody within 8 yards around him. The zone was that soft. So we're going to talk about it, I know, when we get to the mailbag. I'll just leave it at that. I'm going to quote Manny Diaz himself. We were thoroughly outclassed in every category by Virginia. And I would just say, yes, sir. Coach Diaz. You are correct.
I kind of wish the team would come out like the tailgate did on Saturday. That was the best part of the whole freaking day. Let's be honest. Guys, thank y'all for coming out. Man, thank you to the collective. Man, this has been a fun year. It really has been. I've enjoyed every minute of that. Once we get in the stadium.
Scott, you're being way too positive.
Oh, I was talking about the tailgate. We ain't got to the real stuff yet. But yeah, the tailgate was great. You know, appreciate everybody coming out. Really enjoying the opportunity to get to meet some new people, know some people. Thanks to the Hometown Air, those guys being there. That was awesome. Then we had to go watch football. And yeah, that's where I picked on Josh's daughter who was there. She was willingly there. It was like, that's what you get for coming. That's your fault. But anyway, honestly, the only thing I can say is this year is progressively getting worse. And I try to be half full. I really do with the glass. But right now the glass is broken in about 3,000 pieces on the floor where I've then kicked it and slammed it and put it back together and done it again. I will say this, and this is going to be my last parting shot, and don't get mad at me, but I will say this. And I told Josh this Saturday, and I didn't think I was going to repeat it, but I am going to repeat it. Do you think Nina King thinks she made the wrong decision on head coach when she did?
Scott, there's another podcast that they record on Sunday nights, maybe some Monday nights too. It might be better to go over there. I mean, I'm going to say this too. Josh, should I say it? What I asked you after that first Virginia touchdown while we were on the field about Manny? After it happened, I asked this question, and I say it out of due respect, and I hope I'm proven wrong here in the next two games and in 2026. But is Manny Diaz better as just a coordinator than a head coach? I'm not asking for the answers right now, but it is something to kind of wonder because I know we've talked about him being in Miami and maybe he was given the stick by Miami fans, but we look at it, we look at the games and we say this, and maybe this is just Manny's demeanor all the time, but there's just no real emotion. The only time he yells is at the refs. He doesn't get after the players, good, bad, or indifferent. Well, I take that back. He celebrates with them, but when something bad happens, quiet, nothing. And we talked about this too. When something happened with Mike, when Mike was here, that player or that coach, the head would be halfway across the field because he would be chewing them out. And there is a new gift that Josh made from this past weekend's game, which was Mike Elko spot on, and it just made us laugh. But I'm going to go back to the game because I'm going off on a rabbit trail, and we've got to bring our guest on. Chandler Morris had one of his best games of the year. Only the second time this year he's thrown for over 300 yards. The first was against Stanford. Of course, Duke is the second team. The only highlight of this game was being able to see Riley Leonard again. By the way, shout out Riley. It was good to see you. And by the way, I saw Daniel Jones handshake game part 2. Unfortunately, it did not go the way I thought it would.
Brian's spicy tonight, bro. Brian is like throwing out the head coach question. He's also throwing the Riley Leonard stuff out there. You know, half of the Duke fans hate that guy. I like spicy Brian.
I'm gonna wake. I've had a rough Monday. You caught me at the bad time. I'm probably gonna have to apologize like Jamie did after the Cow episode. I'm just in a mood. Duke fans, I'm sorry. It's just one of those nights.
The only thing he didn't say was I love Mike Elko. Right. Let's hear it.
No. At one point, Virginia was 11 for 15 on third downs. Inexcusable. Absolutely inexcusable. You want to win big games? You cannot allow that to happen. I think they ended 12 of 19, but that was garbage time, so I'm not going to take that into account. But it seemed like every third down, Virginia was getting a first down or a touchdown at some point in the game. And the group thread, Spicy Brian was there on Saturday night too, because it was just we could not contain anything. We have been broken since Georgia Tech. I'm just going to put it out there. Some people said Illinois. Some people said Tulane. No, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech was where things went downhill. And by the way, had it not been for that last play, we would be on a 5-game losing streak right now. I'm going to stop because I feel like I just did a 2-minute tirade, which we're not doing tonight because we might get canceled. But all I will say is this. If that same energy, that same effort comes into Kenan Stadium this weekend, guess what, UNC fans? Congratulations. You will have gotten the bell back. It's gotten to that point. And this whole prove me wrong BS that we're saying, there's nothing to prove anymore. You guys have seen the real deal. I'm sorry. Again, it's been a long day, and to come on tonight and have to air frustrations after a loss probably isn't a good combination. So I'm done. Shut me up. Heck, mute me, Josh. We've got to bring our guest on. Heck, our guest might not even want to.
I officially muted Brian. He asked for it. Mid-sentence mute, baby. I love it. I love it. No. Yeah, so we'll put a bow on it. And let me just say this. Like, if you've been listening to our podcast for more than like 3 episodes, I think that we've earned the right to be frustrated. I think we've earned the right because of the way that we treat our players and our families and the respect that we have for this program. I believe we've earned the right because of the standard that has been set in the last 3 previous seasons for what success looks like in Durham. I think we've earned the right to be a little bit frustrated. We also want to keep good perspective. We understand this Duke team could absolutely win these last 2 games, and they could absolutely be 7-5 and win a bowl game. And cool. But we have to react to what's going on currently with this program. And so that's where we're at. So we're going to move into
that's all I said. Just a little spicier.
A little spicier. So yeah, we are going to do a segment we don't typically do. In the past, we've brought on like play-by-play guys from opposing teams. We've done different things. This season, we've really focused a whole lot more on reaction to the previous game than preview of the upcoming game. But this is the I will be respectful just in this part. This is the University of North Carolina Tar Heels, better known on this podcast. Shout out to my dad as Chapel Hill College. That was a shout out to my dad. Shout out, been in the hospital. He's back home. I got to do a little Chapel Hill College in his honor. But very good friend of mine. I've known this guy his entire life. I've known him before he could understand who I was, right? So me and his dad go way back. Scott and his dad go way back. Jamie as well. Like, we all knew his dad. But Troy Hill started the Tar Pit podcast back a couple years ago. I'll let him tell a little bit more. But it's good to have our good friend, Mr. Troy Hill, with us. Troy, man, thanks for hanging.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys having me on and giving me the opportunity to jump on y'all's podcast, man. I followed you guys for a while. I told my guys, Trevor and Chris, that the Tar Pit was inspired off of a Duke football podcast, and it was none other than the Section 17. I remember sitting down with Josh at a Mexican restaurant, go figure, in Charlotte. I think it was San Jose, I believe it was. Yep. And just kind of picked your brain a little bit about the podcast business, and had other people tell me to start one, just give him, the knowledge and my passion for Carolina football. But I always tell people that it was inspired by a Duke football podcast. And I love what you guys do, man. It's been cool to sit here in the wings and listen to you guys go back and forth. I respect what you do and the work that you put in. And you guys said it, Josh, you said it there at the end about earning the right to be frustrated with the current trajectory of the program. Given what you guys have poured into it and given the foundation that was set before Manny Diaz, came to Durham. And I think Carolina and Duke are in sort of the same spot culturally right now. I'll be honest with you, I didn't expect Duke's season to go like it has been. But I'm fully convinced that when this team's firing on all cylinders, they're one of the most dangerous teams in not only in the ACC, but in the country. And I will get into that a little bit later. But nonetheless, man, I'm happy to be here. I'm excited for the game on Saturday. It's the last home game for Carolina. We get to send off our seniors, hopefully the right way, and getting that bell back. And I'm excited to see you guys there, man. We got a live game day show at 140 Social in Franklin in downtown Chapel Hill. I think from 11 to 1:30. But we'd love to partner with you guys on maybe having y'all stop by for a few minutes and jumping on with us. Like I said, I appreciate and respect what you guys do covering Duke and all things Duke football.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that, Troy. Well, listen, here's what we want to do, man. Spend just a few minutes here and get to know our opponent a little bit. And so,
Yes, sir.
I guess first question is, you mentioned the similarities a little bit between these two programs this year, and really the similarities are you had Duke that was talking about this is an ACC championship game caliber team heading into the season, coming off a 9-3 year with Manny Diaz. All the talk was all we needed was a quarterback that could fit the system better. They go out and get that quarterback. He's proven to be that quarterback that fits the system better, but somehow Duke finds itself where it's at. UNC obviously brings in Bill Belichick in the offseason, all the stuff that goes on with that. But obviously what comes along with that is, once again, those high hopes. And I don't believe that UNC necessarily was coming out saying this is a ACC championship level team, but I believe the fan base in general was expecting more probably than what they've seen. And so give us, up to your point, your perspective quickly on what's happened thus far in the season and how UNC kind of finds itself where it's at.
Yeah, it's a good question, and one that I find myself going back to quite often, given the season that we've had and some of the struggles that we've had on both sides of the ball. We're seeing our offense struggle quite a bit right now, more so than our defense. But Belichick comes in and, it brings a new hope to the program. And not only just the hiring of Belichick, right? It's the investment that the university put into the program and the resources. Like, Carolina had a decision. They could, basketball's proven themselves. Like, you've got a tradition there, right? We were on the cusp with Mac Brown of having something really, really special at Carolina with football. And we squandered away opportunity after opportunity, talent after talent, it seemed like. And that had kind of ran its course. And, you couldn't get the buy-in from the boosters like you once could when he first came to town. It was just really hard to get people to invest in something that, we had seen more than one time, not finish or not get over that hump. Yeah, they made the ACC championship game, but I mean, we saw what happened when we got to there, and we came into that game limping pretty hard. So, the university made a decision to throw a good bit of money into football, and to see where it goes. They felt like that program could, I guess, benefit more from that and kind of, piggyback off of, not really piggyback, but contribute like basketball can, and have a trickle down effect for the whole athletic department. So it hasn't really, gone the way we had all hoped. I'm more of a realist than most folks. Like, I didn't think that this team would be ACC championship contending team, or, I had hopes of making a bowl game, but and I really thought that we could, and there's still two opportunities to do that, right? But nonetheless, I knew going into it that whatever Mac Brown had established in Chapel Hill, and he did some good things in Carolina. The culture of Carolina kind of got reset when you bring in a guy like Bill Belichick that's seen football at the highest level and has won at the highest level. It's a different mindset. And it's taken the team, and you combine that with bringing 73 new guys in on roster. And we've had some of them drop off. We've had some of them play different positions and, get some production out of them. We'll go into that a little bit here in a little bit later. But it's been you've started to see the team kind of buy into it. You've started to see a lot more on defense than you have on offense. But yeah, man, it's been an interesting season, but nothing that I haven't really expected.
Hey, Troy, quick question for you. Obviously, we know Gio Lopez came from South Alabama, highly touted, just hasn't been the season that I think any of us expected it to be. But looking at this offense, and by the way, I was somewhat surprised. They're coming in as the 129th best offense in the country
Oh yeah.
Who are some silent heroes that Duke fans need to look out for on offense? Because I'm going to be honest with you, if you're going to exploit this Duke team as of right now, it's the Duke passing defense. 128th in the country, 273 yards allowed. But who are some offensive players that could really change the game that we might not know about?
You know, my part of my good bit of frustration with the offense is just the lack of identity that we've seen and an inconsistency across the board. And Josh, you had mentioned about Manny. You know, it starts up at the top, and I do think a lot of this, the struggles that we've seen on offense this year, do start at the top with Freddie Kitchens, our offensive coordinator. We'll see what his future looks like in Chapel Hill. I've been an advocate of Carolina taking a long look in the mirror and figuring out where you want to go offensively. But that's kind of been the frustration with the offense from top down, honestly. But if I had to label some guys to kind of watch out for on the Carolina offense, we started to see the passing attack on Carolina. I've been a very big advocate. Carolina, going into that Cal game, we were a run-heavy football team, and I had said, going into the back half of the schedule, we're going to have to expand the passing game, and I think we've done that. While it has been frustrating, the inconsistency and some of the decisions that Gio, Tom Brady, Lopez, as Scott threw in the private chat down here, and some of his, that's a lot of his frustration. But I'd label a guy, Kobe Paysor, who's been one of my favorite Tar Heels since he got to Chapel Hill. He comes from the Mac Brown era, stuck it out with Carolina, and he's been a guy that has had a quietly good season, and has established some sort of consistency in timing with Gio Lopez in this expanded passing game that we're seeing over the last 5-6 games. And then Jordan Shipp, he's a sophomore, North Carolina guy, committed to Mac Brown, stuck it out with Belichick and stayed in Chapel Hill. And he's kind of the alpha leader of the skill positions, and a guy that we look to get involved in the game pretty early and consistently throughout the course of them too. So I've started in with Carolina's offense, man, this season. It's been like going into week by week, it's like, who's going to be the guy? I mean, we saw Madrid Tucker, a true freshman, pop off against UVA for like 8 catches, 60 yards, and had a chance to put Carolina in the goal line for Reese Verhoff to come in and kick a game-winning field goal, but just couldn't make the play. So we started to see Davion Goss get more involved, more so in the passing game. And Jalen McGill is another guy in that running back room. He's a true freshman. I believe that's came in and he's gotten some burn. Ben Hall, he's dealt with some injuries across here the last couple games, but he's a guy that got some pretty good snaps against Wake Forest. But I'm looking. I've seen it going into this game, man. If Carolina's gonna compete in these last 2 games against Duke on Saturday and State and Raleigh, they're gonna have to get the passing game going and get Gio in some kind of rhythm. And I think those guys that I mentioned in the wide receiver room are guys that we're going to look for pretty heavily and consistently throughout the course of the game.
All right. Well, then same question. So the thing that has been predictable about this season for UNC, in my opinion, is the fact that, okay, the offense is going to struggle. And you mentioned identity and you mentioned that. I mean, it's hilarious too, because it's like on brand for Belichick. I think you guys have had like 4 different running backs that have had like good games.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he can't stick with it. It's like having an old Patriot running back in your fantasy team. It's like, dude, if he had a good game this week, bench him because he's not going to have one next week.
Running back by committee type.
Yeah. But on the defensive side, the predictable thing has been, that the UNC defense has gotten better throughout the entire season. So kind of same question. Who are the maybe 3 or 4 guys on that defense that Duke fans are going to hear their name called the most on Saturday?
Defensively, it starts up front. What Melcart, Abujade, and Tyler Thompson have both done coming off the edge on opposite sides. And Carolina here recently has done a great job of flipping them too. And their individual pass rush and progression in that has been amazing to watch. Both of those guys, I think, are top. I can comfortably say top 20 in the country in sacks, I believe. Melcart's just been on a tear. He's a junior transfer from Delaware, FCS program. Another one of those gems that Belichick found along the way. You can point to a list of those guys he found in New England. But it starts up front with those two, Melcart and Tyler Thompson. Then you look at the linebacker spot, Kamori House and Andrew Simpson. This defense has a lot of guys, man, that do get involved and play key roles in the flow of the system, and guys covering and being in the spots that they need to be in. Jaden Patterson has been a guy that's came in with the injury to Thad Dixon at corner. Thad has been widely regarded as not really a first-round draft pick nonetheless, but an NFL prospect at corner, and he's been dealing with an injury for like the last 5 weeks. I doubt we see Thad back the rest of the year, but what he's been able to do as a young guy coming in and filling those big shoes that he's laid, a Washington transfer, came over with Steve Belichick, and then you got Marcus Allen beside him, who at times has probably been one of my most frustrating players on the defense, just because I'm telling you, if Cooper Barkate beats him off the line, it's good night. Like it's wraps, because Marcus Allen is very suspect in coverage. If I'm being honest with you, but those are some guys, man, that if Duke fans, you talk about the inconsistency, or the inconsistency against UVA on the offensive side of the football. For Carolina to make it a tight one, and Duke's offense is explosive. I've seen you guys when they're firing on all cylinders. It's one of the most explosive offenses in the country. Cooper Barkate's been a dog all year. One of my favorite receivers in all of college football. And then Darian coming from Tulane, you guys know what he does. I've watched him. And then you mix in Quayshawn Brown. It's explosive, and Carolina's secondary is going to have to be on their P's and Q's. We're going to have to put pressure on Darian Mintz, make him uncomfortable. He's proven that, making him uncomfortable is really, really hard to do at times, but it's going to be interesting. But those are some guys to watch out for Carolina's defense.
Well, awesome, Troy, man. We appreciate you coming on, man. We've got a heck of a mailbag coming up
Yes, sir.
here next. So do us a real quick favor, man. Tell us where we can find you guys. And honestly, we would not say this about many people that represent our rivals 8 miles down the road, but give these guys a follow. So Troy, tell them a little bit where they can find you guys.
Yeah, so we've poured a lot into our social media presence this season. This season 3 of the Tar Pit Podcast. You can find us on all platforms at Tar Pit Pod. We're on Instagram, Facebook. It's Tar Pit Podcast on Facebook, actually, because we got a group. That was another inspiration from the Section 17 guys. It was my Facebook group that I've managed and grown, and we got a page on there. But Tar Pit Pod across most platforms: YouTube, Twitter, we're Spotify. You can find us on there as well if you like the audio versions of the episodes. But it's been great, man. It's been awesome to do it this 3rd season. We've grown a lot. It's been fun. So I'm looking forward to Saturday, man. It's going to be exciting. And I always enjoy when we play Duke, because I get to catch up with you guys. Josh, I always talk to Josh a couple times during the week leading up to the Duke Carolina game, whether it's football or basketball. So yeah. I'm excited to see you guys in Chapel Hill Saturday.
Well, awesome, Troy, man. Thanks for coming on, man.
Appreciate you guys. Go.
Oh, I got him off right before he said go Heels. Y'all like that? That was perfect, man. That was perfect. No, man, I appreciate Troy, man. That's my guy. And as you can tell, the dude knows that program like the back of his hand. And so we're going to be going on their pod a little bit later on this week. So if you want to catch us there. Jamie, are you ready?
I am.
All right, we ready. We got to hit it. We're going to hit that mailbag.
We're going to hit it.
Let's hit it rolling.
We're going to hit it hard, fast, hitting the hole.
Dear Lord, what is the first question?
All right. I thought this was funny because of a comment we had earlier in the week. I think on our Facebook, but I'm not sure. At Hey Wait What Huh on X. Did everyone on the pod make it to church?
Yeah.
Leonard did not make it to church.
Yeah. Leonard Brown on Facebook said Duke football got me missing church on Sunday, which got me so mad. I missed church today or something like that. Like, hilarious post. So I did make it to church on Sunday.
They are quite literally the devil. So,
I made it to church also, just so I could tell others how aggravated and frustrated I was.
But all right, we'll move on. I thought this was good, and these are just really comments. If y'all want to talk about them, we can, or I can just kind of read through them. Our buddy at TS Lester _ from the GA Scumbags. He said, I've seen a lot of talk about what happened to the defense, or Pat Key or Manny calling plays. The defense last year gave up a ton of yards, but were able to offset that with turnovers and sacks, two things which are basically impossible to replicate. Obviously, we were very young, but I think what we are seeing is a fundamental issue with Manny's defense. Pat Key is the DC, but he is running and calling what Manny wants. Having a defense that relies on forcing turnovers, which are more of a luck stat more than anything, just isn't sustainable. And I thought that was a good comment. I mean, because at Penn State, Manny had the #1 defense in the country, but you're looking at elite talent. And last year, I think people are misremembering our defense from last year. There was a ton of big plays given up, and we were fortunate. The ball bounced our ways a lot of times.
But what we did have last year, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong on this of our final ranking, but I believe we were like second in the country in tackles for loss, and that's just not been the case. Like the havoc of like pressuring the quarterback. I mean, Troy just got on here and talked about their defensive ends have like progressed in that area. Ours have degressed, and I'm not talking about them as players. I'm talking about the sack numbers have digressed as well as the tackles for loss have digressed. And here's the thing: when your secondary is what it is, you have to get pressure on the quarterback in order to try to make any stops. And so Duke's not getting pressure, they're not getting tackles for loss, and they're playing a soft zone.
All recipes for disaster.
Yes.
I mean,
let me interrupt though. But in hindsight, for the 2 years that Mike was here, we all know Mike was running the defense, and no one seemed to have a problem with it. But we were also winning key games, so.
Right.
I mean, honestly, we were bend don't break back then too. You remember, like Mike even said, "I don't care how many yards we give up. I care how many points we give up."
Yep.
And to Josh's point, to run Manny's defense successfully, you got to get to that QB. You got to create havoc plays, because the havoc plays cause the turnovers, right? I mean, also we kind of played a weak schedule last year, but that's it is what it is. Worst 9-3 team in football.
Is UConn still a weak team, Jamie? Just curious.
No, they're not.
Oh, okay.
They're good. They can put up some numbers.
Is Virginia still a weak team, guys? I'm just curious. I'm just making sure. I'm
all right, Brian. You were right, man. You were right.
All right. It only took 10 games, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Just wait till I have to eat crow if Wake beats us, man.
Oh, we'll get to that at the last episode. Go ahead, Jamie.
For context, Brian has loved UVA all year, and we have not been on the bandwagon until Saturday, I think.
Well, when they took Bill and Mary out to the woodshed, which, by the way, we play them next year, Will and Mary, I was like, oh, this team's for real. And everyone's like, you're nuts.
I mean, I still think you're nuts, but you were correct on this. All right, next question. We got to roll.
All right. Lane Phipps, and I think he's kind of comments about a lot of the frustration that Duke fans have had. The backslide that this program has taken in just a year is unacceptable. There's a lot of things I love about Manny, but everything we are seeing is entirely too reminiscent of what Miami fans were frustrated with, as I've previously alluded to. I know you guys have asked the question of who, but he says he's at the point where I would just literally take anybody from the G5 level that is doing more with less. At this point, and Lane goes on to mention like basically all the quarterbacks in college football. I mean, excuse me, all the quarterbacks, all the coaches in college football. No, I'm just kidding. He mentions a few. He'd want to move on from Diaz so quickly, in my opinion. He said would send a message that this program is still serious about football. Could this be a knee-jerk reaction? Sure, but I'm curious on where he's curious on where we're at in terms of the frustration with the staff. And similar question, Peter Dodge says first he was a huge fan of the Manny Diaz hiring. Last season with a terribly weak schedule, the players seemingly would run through a wall for their coach. As this season has trudged along, the it has disappeared. Too many penalties of discipline, the appearance of zero adjustments in game, the lack of emotion on the sidelines, and now players, family members talking to social media in a negative way. Has the Manny Diaz era irreparably unraveled in just 2 years?
And I'll add a follow up. Someone DM'd me and said if I could stay anonymous, that'd be great. Which I will respect that person's wishes. But like, when does Nina begin looking? And I think so. What do you guys think?
I gave my comments earlier.
Here's my thing. I will say this, and Scott, I'll get to you. I know you hadn't been able to talk much. Here's all I will say about coaching searches or coaching changes. I think the collective we overreact to wins, and we call too quickly on, we give way too much credit for a win, and then we also overreact on losses. Now, there's patterns that are developed over time. This is my opinion, I don't believe enough time has gone by to develop a true pattern yet with Manny. And then the last thing I will say, while I hear the frustrations, and honestly, like, there's a side of me that I agree with all the frustrations. I mean, I've been having conversations, text message conversations and phone calls like for the last 48 hours. Like, I get it. But I also always think about who is immediately better, right? Like, you have to know, like, know that you can bring in someone better. I don't know how you know that at this point. And I think Penn State is actually an interesting case study in this, because if Penn State's not careful, they're going to wind up with a coach that's not as good as James Franklin was if they're not careful. And you know what I mean? That's going to look like an extremely bad decision that they made in the middle of a season.
I would just say this. I agree with most of what Josh said. I do think that a lot of people are jumping to the conclusion that this is why Manny got canned at Miami. And I mean, if you're going to compare apples and oranges here, and that's what we have to compare on what we've seen since Cutcliffe left. Like you mentioned earlier, Mike would lose his mind on the sideline. Manny doesn't look like he is. If they were undisciplined, they paid for it. Now, supposedly these guys now are doing stuff internally to take care of it, but we're still seeing the same thing. I asked the question last week, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't get an answer that I thought was. I didn't like the answer. And I'm not saying I was wrong. I'm not saying he's wrong, but he didn't really answer the question to me, because we're still seeing the same guys do the same thing over and over and over and over again every week. Same thing. Something's got to stop. There's got to be a way to stop it. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Whatever it's worth, doesn't mean jack crap probably, but that's how I feel.
I'm of the opinion that there's change that needs to be made. It's not going to be Manning. So we might as well put that to bed. And Brewer, I think, has had a good enough season to justify not making a change there. I mean, obviously our passing offense is, ranked way high. Our rushing offense, I wish it was ranked higher, but I think it is what it is. We kind of throw the ball so much in Brewer's offense that's just kind of is what it is. But I think Packy could be on the chopping block. I mean, obviously I have no inside information, but when your defense is that bad, when you're giving up freaking 17 yards on a 3rd and 14, like what Brian alluded to, I think earlier.
Uncontested.
Uncontested.
And almost every 3rd and 14.
Right. Wide open. And I realize Manny's defense requires some havoc plays. And they weren't getting to the quarterback. They were not getting to him. It was not even close. Virginia was gashing Duke. It was like the defense has to change. Something has to change.
Well, here's what I'll say too, and Brian, I know you got something. I'm sorry. It's very tough to understand the whole players coach, like, because I'm just not wired that way. Like, I am like the get in your face, like when I was in high school playing sports, like, get in my face. Like, I don't want you to be like, I don't want you to like let something slide. If I suck, like, I want you to tell me that, right? Like I'm that's just the way that I'm wired. So I know there are different ways to skin the cat, right? And so like we have to respect that. We have known that Manny's going to run this differently than what Duke fans were used to. So we got to respect that. And then the last thing I'll say is David Cutcliffe was parted ways with by Duke ultimately because he would not make changes to his coaching staff. I do not think Manny is that sort of a guy to a fault like Cutcliffe was. I do think that Manny will feel the pressure. I do think he'll make some changes. I don't know who they are, but I don't think Jamie was off base in what he said at all.
Really quick, and I've calmed down in a way. I did actually look that up last week. Manny made, I believe, one coaching change while he was at Miami, and that was bringing Jess Simpson on to coach the D-line. So take that for what you will. I did think back to my little tirade, and I think the reason why I said what I said was simply this. Early on, last year, I think it was last year, Tyler and I went to a practice. One of the first practices Manny Diaz had. And we're on the sidelines, and we're watching, and something happens, and Manny goes ballistic. I'm talking you could hear a pin drop in practice. And everyone's not wanting to move because he is unloading on the team for failure on a play. I have yet to see that Manny Diaz on the sidelines. And I think that's why I get frustrated because that's sometimes the Manny you need to see or the coach you need to see. Because if you can be a player's coach, but there's got to be times to where you go ballistic to make the players realize this isn't working. And you can have your positional coaches do their job, but sometimes you've got to come into that positional coach's meeting or go over to those players and say, this isn't working. You know, one thing that Manny always says is it's on him as the head coach. He needs to show it more, in my humble opinion, on the sidelines. I need to see that fire from Manny that I saw at practice last year.
I see. That's the one thing. I know people don't like to talk about Mike Elko, but you would see it in practice. The first time I saw Mike Elko in practice, he lit into Nicky Dalmolin right there in front of his parents. But you would also see it in the game. Like, and there are two different coaches, but we just don't see that fire from Manny. But now last year, when Duke was down to Carolina, and that halftime speech, they released on YouTube, man, now that was a heck of a speech, and it fired me up. I wanted to run through a wall. That was awesome.
Jamie actually did. He was trying to go downstairs and he tripped and fell and he ran through a wall.
I'll say one more thing, and I've started saying this to folks that don't realize this. Duke's schedule next year favors Duke so much that if you cannot have a successful season, then the conversations might need to be had. 7 home games. You only leave the state of North Carolina 3 times. Illinois, Virginia, Georgia Tech. There's not a lot of travel involved. That favors Duke. And I know we can talk about that later on, but just something to think about heading into the offseason.
All right. So I'm going to move on to @ReginaLee_LA. Is Duke football, and she put in parentheses, not learning to deal with success? They are now a team that other teams generally take seriously. And there was a similar question to @Blade for Duke. Do you believe that the pressure associated with higher expectations for the season has been a major cause of the team underachieving to this extent?
Great questions from both Blade and Regina. Shout out Regina, LA. Okay. It is a completely different feel when you are the underdog grinding away to try to reach the top and knock off Clemson in 2023, right? You're grinding to try to win that Notre Dame game, which you ended up not winning. But like there is something about that. And it's a different mentality when you get there and the target is on your back instead of you are, the hunter. And that is different. And Duke has not done well with that. I mean, listen, let's remind our listeners of the very first game of the season, Elon. We're sitting in the Elon game 2.5 quarters in. We're in the middle of the third quarter, and we're like, are we gonna pull away? And it was almost like Duke came into the season like believing this hype about themselves that was like, then it's Illinois, then it's Tulane. It's like, what is happening? And so, yeah, I think it's a valid question. I don't believe Duke has handled, and I say that. I mean, we've been critical of the coaches so far on this podcast. I'll say it. Players as well. Like, I think the coaches and the players kind of believe their own hype going in this season. And I think there's a fine line between being confident and being detrimental to the edge that you need to win football games.
I would just say this, and I'll be quick about it. Injuries is just killing this team run defense. Our best safety probably will not play a down all season. Nick Morris Jr. gets hurt, he's out the season. Shopper comes in, does a great job, he's out for the season.
Kendall Johnson's
not playing. Trey gets hurt every game, makes a great play, pick six, and then gets hurt. And there's a chance, they said depends on what happens. He may not play Saturday, he may. It's just a game time type thing as of right now. So the injuries is first year with Delco, we didn't have one. But no, we had one. That was it. It was, smooth, easy sailing. The next year, a few more. Last year, we had more. We had more depth at positions last year than we do this year, other than the D-line. And I think that's the biggest issue. You're trying to put guys out there. And granted, again, I understand these guys are true freshmen. They're not true freshmen anymore. I got that part. And to go back to something said a few minutes ago, I didn't chime in on. When your quarterback for the other team only gets hit on the ground one time the whole day, that's a problem. I don't care who you are. You got to hit him. If you don't hit him, you can't make him throw picks. You can't make him do anything stupid. He made great plays because he stayed active, and it ended up working out that somebody always out of the backfield was wide open, or somebody was run a route, and that stupid zone got smoked as it had been.
And it's going to be if we don't get to Gio Lopez on Saturday, he has not had a great year. But if you allow a quarterback that is that level of athlete to just sit back there, like Scott said, not get hit, they're going to pick you apart. They're going to pick that zone apart.
Which is why I made the joke there in the comments about Tom Brady, because there's a really good chance if Duke doesn't do that, he's going to look like Tom Brady Saturday.
All right. I thought this was a good question from another one of our friends at the GA Scumbags, Noah. He said, recently we've seen a shift in overall fan attitude and disapproval of the team. Almost like the first time in Duke football history, 95% of the fans collectively want more. Are we finally starting to see the shift in people not settling for mediocrity? I think that's a good point, because I don't think – I'm at the point where I'm not going to be happy with 6-6 and 7-5 every year.
If we're being honest, though, this isn't our first time feeling this way. Does everyone remember the 2015 season? I'm just going to go through it really quick, and I know Josh just said in the group chat, go quick. But 2015, we started out 6-1. How did that end? Went to the Pinstripe Bowl because of the Miami game. Need was still down.
First bowl in like 50 years.
Yeah, we did. We did. Always the positive light from Jamie. But I'm just saying, what could have been starting out 6-1, and then we tailspin into the Pinstripe Bowl. 2017, 4-0, lose to Miami 31-6. Was that the game that we were in the tower?
I believe so.
2017.
Food was great.
The food was great, but then Duke proceeds to lose 5 straight after that, or 6 straight total. And then that season goes into a tailspin. Go to the Quick Lane Bowl. 2019, the little jump pass against UNC. Another what could have been season. We've been here before. We have been here before because remember 2013 in the Chick-fil-A Bowl. And then we go with the seasons with Mike in 22 and 23. Then we go to the Gator Bowl last year. I think it's just a culmination of what we've always discussed. We're kind of at that corner. We're ready to turn the corner as a program, or as Duke fandom goes, to take that next step. And it's always like we're right there and we take 5 steps back. And then we get back to where we began.
Yeah, I would say, like, and I'm not here to downplay the fans. I mean, that's where we all started, and we still would claim that. But like, it's not really about what the fans expect. I mean, here's the deal. Bigger than that, it's what the standard the program has set for itself. And we as those that are onlookers, right? So we have a podcast, but once again, we try to represent the fans to Noah's point. Like, it's not that I'm putting the expectation on you. It's that you've put the expectation on yourselves. Like, you're the program that went 9-3, 8-4, 8-4, or whatever. The last 9-3 twice and 8-4 once. Like the last 3 seasons. Like, you did that. So, like, if this year is 5-7, like, you're the one who set the bar and is not reaching it. It's not us. So, like, when the fan base, voices their displeasure, it's because, number one, it's because they care. Number two, it's because, like, the standard has been set for the last 3 seasons, and this team is not reaching that standard. It's not our fault. It's no fan's fault. It's like, if this team was coming off of the last 2 Cutcliffe seasons, okay, cool, fine. We've improved to 4 wins over 2 wins. But, like, it's not. This team has been here the last 3 seasons, and now this team is lower. What do you want to hear from the fan? I don't know what else they expect.
I would say this much, and I'll be quick about it. People wonder why Duke fans have PTSD. It's sometimes sitting there on Saturdays after the Georgia Tech game, after Saturday. It's almost like 0-12. We knew we weren't going to win a game, but we still showed up. We still, every game, thought we had just a slimmer of hope. Now we're in every game. We have a chance, and we get on national television and we lay that big old fat golden juicy egg and look like crap.
And I'll say this too, and Manny even alluded to it. I guess it was a few weeks ago. I think when all this Penn State talk started coming up, when we were still looking like we were the hot team and possibly, going to go on a run, he said that you can win championships anywhere now. It's not like the olden days. It's not like, you have to be at Alabama, you have to be at Notre Dame, you have to be at Georgia. You can win a championship at Duke, especially in the NIL era. So I think fans' expectations are right at where they should be, for at least for the most part.
Well, Jamie just said we can win a national championship at Duke. We're going to have to stop him there, aren't we, Brian?
Jamie,
Jamie,
take your meds and go to bed, bud.
I said championship. I didn't. ACC.
Oh, ACC championship. Okay.
I mean,
we do have to close it down, right, Brian? We got to run.
We got to close it up. We got predictions and did you know, and then we got to roll. So
yeah, we got to roll. Jamie, thanks, man. I know this week was a little bit difficult trying to pick through those because there was a ton. So
all right.
Anyway, we got to move on. Brian, are we ready?
Yeah, we are ready for predictions. Before we get started, shout out to Chris McLaughlin, longtime listener. He got the best score for Duke and UVA. He actually got UVA's score on the nose. He predicted them to win 34-31. So your gift is already in the mail, courtesy of the Duke equipment staff. As far as this week goes, there we go. It's another double up week because it is a rivalry game. All right, thanks again yet one more time to the equipment staff. So we've got a nice Duke T-shirt. We actually gave away the long sleeve version of this earlier in the year, I believe. And along with that, a nice pair of shorts to go with it. So whoever gets closest to the score will win this apparel set. The Year of the Fan from the Duke equipment staff. Our thanks again to Wes and Wolves. All right. Entering, and I still don't know what's going on with Vegas. I think we've got some folks that have never watched Duke football this season. Duke entered, I believe it started at a 7.5-point favorite. It's down to a 6.5-point favorite. Over-unders 51.5 points. I'll just throw that out there for what it is. Duke's offense enters averaging 33 points a game. UNC's offense is averaging 18 points per game. Duke's defense is giving up 29 points per game. UNC's defense is giving up 22 points per game. So take that for what you will. I'm unmuted. I'll go ahead and get started. Jamie, I know you had a rough week last week of not even being on, forgetting your computer. So I'm going to give you some time to think about this. I honestly don't know what to think anymore. I really don't. This game could be a shootout. This game could be a 6-3 final. Cooper Barkate and Darian Mensah could have career games. They could be shut down. Gio Lopez at Scott said could turn into Tom Brady. I have no idea anymore. This is just one of those weird games. So I'm just going to throw it out there. I asked Duke to prove me wrong last week, and they failed to do so. This week, I'm gonna go reverse psychology. I think just looking at the facts and the stats, and I'm going to post it Thursday like I always do, NCAA rankings wise, Duke should win this game handily. Will they, though? I don't believe so, just with all the problems that have arisen in the last few weeks. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'm going to go Duke 28. I'm going to go UNC 24. I think it's going to be closer than what it should be, but Duke will keep the victory bell for the second straight season. As far as the jerseys go, I'm going to say this before Josh does because I could truly see them doing this again. The Oreos are going to be back in Kenan Stadium like they were 2 years ago. The Hellraiser will be on the helmet. They're gonna redo what they did 2 years ago. 28-24, Duke over Chapel Hill College. Please, Duke, prove me right this week.
All right. I've picked against Duke the last couple of weeks, and so let me do the jersey combo first. I love that. I mean, that's the Grayson Loftus Oreos. That's the Grayson Loftus. That was when Grayson Loftus went toe to toe with Drake May, and really should have won the game. Shout out Grayson Loftus, a friend of the pod. So I'm gonna go Oreos, but I'm gonna go with the NC State Oreo helmets, the Gothic with the Gothic Duke. So we're gonna go black, white, black with the Gothic Duke on the helmet, and then guys, we've vented a little bit of frustration. I think it's been warranted. I think anybody that's watching football is warranted frustration. But I can't pick Chapel Hill College to beat Duke. I can't. So Duke's going to win this game. And Duke, the offense is going to wake up. They're going to figure it out. They can do this. 38. I can't believe I'm saying that. 38. We're going to do that against Bill Belichick's defense. 38-28. 38-28 Blue Devils. You're welcome.
I'll go. Duke gets to go to that hole. It is Kenan Stadium. My God, there you go, Tyler. Wow. I've been known for calling, beep that, maybe. Because that stadium is a I mean, it's a concourse. You walk around, like, the concourse is so tight. There's holes everywhere. You could tear an ACL. Like,
Great tailgating.
great. You have to park 9 miles away from the stadium. You either have to ride a bus in or walk 15 miles.
Walking
whatever.
1, Jamie 0.
Yeah. But anyways, I'm gonna quit. While I'm ahead. I think I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna go white out for the uniform. All white. Icy whites.
What's on the helmet?
with the Gothic script. I looked at the comments. I shouldn't have looked at the comments. Gothic script on the helmet. I agree with these guys. I cannot pick Carolina to win. I think Darian Mensah will bounce back. I think Duke 31, but Carolina will be able to score on the defense. I think, as we've seen all year. So I think Carolina 27, Duke 31, Carolina 27. Duke retains the victory bell and go to hell, Carolina.
So there's no way on God's little green earth that you would ever see me pick that nasty, stinky, light blue Foot College over there in Chapel Hill. That's okay. I don't care. Listen, and that's another reason why you won't catch me over there, because I don't want to be over that crap hole. Just like Jamie said, I've never lost anything at Chapel Hill, so Saturday I'm not going to find it. And I'd rather watch it on TV and not have beer poured on me by a bunch of idiots. So hopefully Muffy and Buffy will get their children, the trust fund babies, to quit pouring beer on the Duke fans. like they should. I'm going to go with combo first. I do think that Duke. I do believe the Oreo is probably going to happen, but I want to be different. That's what I want to do. I'm going to go blue with the Gothic helmet, white, and then that beautiful, luscious blue pants. I mean, blue, white, blue. Bring it on. Just make the bell. Just make the bell turn. The bell's already that color. Just keep it that way. Don't even have to take it off the equipment truck. You just leave it right there at the Duke locker room. Jangle it a couple times. We're good to go. Put it back on the bus, and then they're ready to roll. As far as score, I was joking with somebody yesterday. They asked me who do I think is going to win, and I told them, I said, if I could pick 0-0, I almost would do that. Because at this point, you don't know what you're going to get from Duke sometimes. You don't know what you're going to get from Carolina. But it's Duke and Carolina. You never know what's going to happen. And dadgummit, they're going to score. I mean, it could end up being a Big 12 shootout. I mean, we're talking 52-55, something crazy like that. That'll end up messing up television, and they'll be totally messed up. But that's okay. I'm going to go with, for my pick, though, is I do like the 30 range. I'll say 37 for Duke. I do think that there's a possibility that Gio Lopez will look like Tom Brady, but actually more of the Pat Mahomes version that runs all over the place, gains first downs, except for yesterday when he lost to my Denver Broncos. Haha. Anyway, so I will say 37-27. Hopefully Muffy and Buffy will be able to get back to their BMWs early so they can go ahead and get home and watch the 11 o'clock news or whatever it is that they watch over here in Chapel Hill.
So to be clear, I picked 38-28, and Scott picks 37-27. I just want to be. He pulled a Jamie. I just want to be clear. Right.
Well, hey, earlier we were going to do I was going to do the game where you go over the edge, and that was going to be me going over the edge, but I behaved somewhat and I let Brian be spicy.
Nice. All right. Well, we've given our picks, and you let us know. We'll put out the post on Wednesday night. Don't forget, you can win the T-shirt and shorts courtesy of our friends of the Duke football equipment staff. And so make sure that you interact there as well. Brian, it's time for the UNC Chapel Hill edition of Did You Know?
Did you know, and it's one that I bring up every year, that the Victory Bell matchup is right around the corner. Did you know Duke and UNC have been battling for the Victory Bell for over 75 years? The inspiration for the bell came in 1948 after the head male cheerleaders for each school, Norman Spear from UNC and Loring Jones from Duke, agreed that the team should be battling for something tangible. Now, before the collaboration, the only proof of a rivalry trophy between Duke and UNC is from a photo from the 1937 game where the winning team received a golden goalpost trophy. Now, Spear and Jones wanted a trophy that would be a symbolic way to foster more friendly relationships between Duke and UNC. Inspired by the other rivalry trophies at the time, Loring and Jones came up with the idea of the Victory Bell. The bell was taken off an old Southern Railway train by Jones, and Spears had his engineering professor come up with the base design to hold the bell. The bell itself would make its debut on November 20th, 1948 at Kenan Stadium, where then number 5 ranked UNC would beat Duke 20-0 and take first possession of the bell. Duke's first ever possession of the bell took place after the 1950 matchup when they defeated UNC 7-0 and Kenan Stadium. This would be the start of Duke's longest winning streak in the series against UNC, as the Blue Devils would win 7 straight matchups. UNC, however, has won or kept the bell in 50 of the 76 matchups the two teams have played for the trophy. A newer tradition for the bell started in 2004 was when UNC spray painted the bell's base after they defeated Duke in Durham and took back possession of the bell. Now, since then, if a team takes back possession of the bell, they will spray paint their school colors on the base until the teams meet again next year. And we all saw that, or at least Josh and I saw that firsthand last year when Duke got the bell back from UNC. And that was the Did You Know for Chapel Hill College, a.k.a. UNC.
Hey, how many in a row we won from over them? I forgot.
One.
How many in a what? Just the one? Really?
Yeah, we
That's it.
lost 2 years ago in Chapel Hill.
I don't remember that. Oh, that's right. I wasn't there. That's why. I'm trying to
Mr.
remember.
Yeah,
Brian and I were on the sideline next to
I
Nina
purposely
King,
was
and
not
she
there.
was like flipping her lid during that game.
I
That's
was
where the-
actually. Go ahead.
I was like, that's where the fans were throwing stuff on the hard hats and them there at the end.
Yeah, I'll end it with this because we're short on time. I remember two things. One, the bell keepers at UNC about killed me. I was getting so close to the bell that they were getting mad, and I was like, guys, I'm just getting ready. If we win this game, I just want to be close when we take back the bell. They look like they wanted to call the cops on me. And to Jamie's point, after the game was over, in such classy fashion, drinks were being poured on not only the hard hat guys, but the parents. The parents. And what does the Orange County's finest do? They walk away as that was happening. But we'll leave that at that. That was 2 years ago. So, again, it's rivalry week. It is the biggest game of the year for Duke. Hopefully, Duke can keep that bell. We need to keep the bell, keep some momentum heading into the last game of the year in Wake Forest. Josh, what you got for us before we close it up?
Real quick, a shout out once again. A couple of guys have mentioned it, the Hometown Air, for coming out and sponsoring that tailgate and giving away some stuff there. And another special thanks to Matt Bliven and El Rodeo as well, our sponsors. And then please be sure to follow us on YouTube. If you're watching, please comment, subscribe, share it. Obviously, Spotify, Apple Podcast. Our Facebook group is Duke Football Talk. Everywhere else, we're at Section 17 Media. We do want to thank Troy Hill from the Tar Pit Podcast at Tar Pit Pod for coming on earlier as well. I want to encourage you to give them a like and a subscribe and a follow to help build their audience as well. So, Brian, I think we've done all the housekeeping. Take us home.
It was a long one. We had a unofficial tirade from me. Again, I've calmed down now, so I hope you will forgive me next time you see me, folks. We had Troy on, as Josh said, so it was great. We had another good mailbag. I know I'm recapping everything, but it was another good episode as we get ready for Chapel Hill College, 3:30, ACC Network, if you cannot make it. But for Josh Cox, for Jamie Holt, for Scott Medlin, the big dog, and, of course, producer Tyler Witt, I am Brian Kennedy, and this has been yet another episode of the Duke – I almost said it – the Section 17 podcast. Fumble. Yep, another flag on the field by me. And before I forget, go to hell, Carolina. Go to hell.